If Harris gets in, I think the month of November and December could be very good for Bitcoin. I think if Trump gets in, I think we have an immediate jump, because I think that means all crypto gets reevaluated. I think the SEC gets changed. I think the Elizabeth Warren choke point 2.0 plan gets thrown in the garbage. And I think we immediately jump to well above 100,000. I mean, very quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if we end the year up more like 140,000, 180,000, something like that. I mean, we could just have an exponential rise.
The future of Bitcoin looks promising and bullish, with experts highlighting its growing importance in global finance as a decentralized digital asset. Bitcoin continues to attract institutional support and gain mainstream acceptance. Its scarcity, combined with increasing adoption, suggests a strong potential for significant value appreciation. Many advocates believe that Bitcoin's ability to serve as a hedge against inflation, along with its technological innovations, will fuel its future growth, positioning it as a key player in the evolving financial landscape, despite its inherent volatility. In line with this optimistic outlook, Fred Kreuger pointed out that October has historically been a strong month for Bitcoin, with the past 5 Octobers showing particularly favorable results, especially during U.S. presidential election years. Building on September's impressive performance, he noted gains of over 20% in recent years and expressed optimism about Bitcoin reaching $80,000 in the upcoming October. Kreuger further projected that if Kamala Harris wins the presidential election, it might initially lead to modest regulatory challenges but ultimately benefit Bitcoin due to continued money printing. Conversely, a Donald Trump victory could lead to an immediate price surge, driven by favorable regulatory changes, with Bitcoin potentially surpassing $100,000 by the end of the year. He emphasized that the current moment presents a prime opportunity to acquire Bitcoin, highlighting the importance of building a profitable position to capitalize on future exponential growth.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
But let's look at these numbers. They're pretty remarkable. We had 2 negative Octobers. We've had the last 5 Octobers have been good. The 2 Octobers in a presidential year cycle have been good. So we've just been having a very, very good month of October. I wouldn't bet against it. And if you look at these numbers a little bit more closely, you can kind of see these numbers are actually really good. 20% plus, 30% in 2021, 30% effectively last year. So could we move 20% in October? Yeah, I think we can. From 60,000, that'll get us over 70,000 in October. I think 70K in October is definitely doable. Maybe even 80K, maybe even all-time high in October. Seems possible. So wouldn't bet against it. We had especially a exceptionally good September. In September was a bad seasonal month, and we had a very good September. So, and the best one on record, actually. And in the other months where September was positive, as Beagle points out, October was great too. So here in 2016, September was good, October was good. In 2015, September is good, October is very good. And in 2023, September was good, October was great. I think nominally, if Harris wins, there might be an initial phase of, oh, I'm disappointed, I should sell Bitcoin. There's going to be more regulation on Bitcoin. I think that would be only very small, very nominal, and pretty soon the greater realization that money printing is going to continue will go on. And that'll be very good for Bitcoin. So I don't even think that realization is going to take more than a month. So even if Harris gets in, I think the month of November and December could be very good for Bitcoin. I think if Trump gets in, I think we have an immediate jump, because I think that means all crypto gets reevaluated. I think the SEC gets changed. I think the Elizabeth Warren choke point 2.0 plan gets thrown in the garbage. And I think we immediately jump to well above 100,000. I mean, very quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if we end the year up more like 140,000, 180,000, something like that. I mean, we could just have an exponential rise. I'm not playing this thing day to day. I don't trade the market. I'm just long Bitcoin. Sometimes I buy a little bit more Bitcoin. I think it's a good time to buy Bitcoin right here. You're below the trend line. You've got a possible catalyst on the way up. So if you buy and Trump gets elected, which the poly market odds are now saying 50-50, then you've got a really good position. It's great to be really in the money in Bitcoin, because then you sort of care less. It drops 20%, you don't care. If you just bought, it drops 20%, you're hurting. It's really good to get your foot in the door and to have a position that's like profitable and has a big margin of profit in it. Certainly the legal environment is going to change very favorably to Bitcoin in the next year if Trump's elected. And if Trump's not elected, it's not the end of the world for Bitcoin. It might be the end of the world for the U.S. economy, but maybe not. But certainly not for Bitcoin. So I'm very, very. I think we're in a very good position.
Fred Kreuger cautioned against using dollar cost averaging to invest in Bitcoin, suggesting that this strategy could lead to purchasing Bitcoin at significantly higher prices. He believes Bitcoin's price is likely to rise due to global instability, pointing to past instances where turmoil has driven up Bitcoin's value. Kreuger also raised concerns about Coinbase reserve verification methods, advising investors to opt for self-custody instead. He highlighted that unlike individual Coinbase users, BlackRock uses dedicated addresses and nodes for real-time verification. Kreuger remains optimistic about the economic outlook, predicting a mini-boom instead of a full-blown recession. He expects interest rates to decrease, which could trigger a large liquidity cycle favorable for Bitcoin. Furthermore, he emphasized the importance of aligning with the Federal Reserve's monetary policies, arguing that this approach would drive short-term gains and create a highly favorable environment for Bitcoin. Let's now return to the interview to watch more clips and gain additional insights from Fred Kreuger.
DCA, Bitcoin. I think you should, if you have money that you're going to invest, I would kind of invest it. I wouldn't sort of just trickle it out on DCA. I don't think that's a great idea because you might be trickling it out twice the price. I think we're going to go higher in Bitcoin. So Iran, Israel tension. These have typically been good buying opportunities, right? And I have this one page in our book about, Saylor says, it doesn't say war is good for Bitcoin, but he says chaos is good for Bitcoin. So whenever there's chaos, it does end up being good for Bitcoin. Maybe not on the day of the chaos, but overall it tends to be good for Bitcoin. So BlackRock has all the BTC. They give Coinbase a window. Now, do I think Coinbase for like their base product and their, what's it called? CBBTC is 100% backed? I wouldn't trust that thing. I gotta tell you, I would not. Probably okay, but the fact that they don't have any proof of reserves or anything is just disturbing. So I wouldn't use Coinbase. There's better things to use, and of course, you should always self-custody, right? So, BlackRock's relation with Coinbase is not the same as your relation with Coinbase. They have dedicated addresses that are there. They're running their own nodes that they can verify that the Bitcoin in those dedicated addresses is actual Bitcoin. They're not just relying on some accountant once a quarter to verify the reserves. They're verifying those reserves in real time. So you don't have those dedicated addresses in Coinbase. You can't see where your Bitcoin is when you put it in. So not your keys. You can't see the Bitcoin. I'm out. I'm not concerned about a recession impacting Bitcoin. So what is the scenario there? The scenario is recession comes in, we get some form of, we possibly get stagflation, but we get a fall in US stocks, and there's a fleeing of risk assets in general, and Bitcoin just gets trampled as we have this recession. I don't think that that's really going to happen right now. I think more likely they'll just cut rates to 2%, and we'll have a little mini boom. It's kind of my view. Hey, Brent. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. I think in general, interest rates are going lower, and that's all you need to know, right? So, we are going to be at 3%. We're going to have a 3% handle on our interest rates in 6 months. And there's $6 trillion in money market funds right now. We are in this beginning of this really big liquidity cycle. And so I think the liquidity is, Michael Howell from Cross Border had made this very clear. Liquidity is what drives short-term moves. We're going to a very positive liquidity cycle here. This liquidity cycle should end at the end of next year. Do not fight the Fed. Do not fight the global money printers. This thing is going to be very, very good for Bitcoin.
Fred Kreuger remains optimistic about Bitcoin's future, even as reports indicate a slight shift in U.S. election odds, with Donald Trump's chances increasing by 1% and Kamala Harris's dropping by the same margin. A Trump victory, now considered more likely, is expected to bring pro-crypto policies, potentially driving Bitcoin prices higher. The relationship between global threats and Bitcoin is complex. While global tensions tend to cause Bitcoin to fall in the U.S., they often boost Trump's chances. Analysts generally agree that a Trump win would benefit Bitcoin, while a Harris victory could have the opposite effect. In the market, Bitcoin call options have surged, with open interest for $80,000 strike price options expiring on December 27 increasing by 1,300 Bitcoin in just 2 days. Some analysts no longer see Bitcoin as digital gold but view it as a hedge against traditional financial instability. Long-term investors, who have held onto their Bitcoin since mid-2021, are facing unrealized losses, but short-term holders are seeing increasing profitability, with 62% of the short-term supply now in profit. Despite the unrealized losses, the volume of profits being taken is 14.17 times higher than losses, indicating cautious optimism among investors. While 47.4% of Bitcoin held by long-term investors is currently in loss, particularly from purchases near Bitcoin's all-time high of $73,000, these losses aren't severe enough to raise significant concern. Many investors are taking advantage of market conditions to cash out, suggesting a sense of optimism about future growth. As the market evolves, there's debate. Will Bitcoin drop below $60,000, or could it rise to between $80,000 and $100,000? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.